Hi guys, it's JP from JP FIT4LIFE, and I'm here today with a good friend of mine. We went to high school together. His name is Nick Jones. We have a lot of very similar mindset today, guys, and we're going to be talking about a lot of the similar, situations that we've been in the past. And we're going to talk about how to build confidence. It's a great topic that I've dived into in the past. Nick Jones is very, he has a lot of experience with weight training, and he has a lot of experience, finding himself and finding the true inner being that he is. He spent a lot of time in the woods alone. He's out there recording what he's doing, but he's alone. He's really searching for who he truly is and how to be resourceful and to, just kind of be the best version of him every day. So Nick Jones, how are you doing today?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited about talking about how to build confidence. It's one of my favorite topics. I think that and mindset, those two are, talking about mindset or confidence, like I could go all day on those. But so Nick, we're going to start with your story. So I want to hear a story about a time that you have built your confidence in the past. And we're going to talk about kind of just take me through your journey on how in one area of life you built your confidence.
All right. So a story. Let us turn the pages of history. So, back in freshman year, coming from middle school to going to high school, I knew that I wanted to play football. And that being said, football players got to be strong, got to be fast, got to be quick, that whole deal. So my dad told me, start hitting the weights. I was like, all right, I didn't think much of it. It just seemed like something you got to do, and it seemed like a no-brainer. So I started doing that. And, freshman and sophomore year, I didn't really have a structured view or structured plan. It was kind of like I just went in there, and I think I originally did just like a heavy pyramid scheme. Like I'd do like low weight, high reps, and then I'd get to like a medium weight for like 1 rep maxes during my workouts. And it's like, and my dad helped me with that and said that didn't make sense. You should be doing like 10s and like whatnot, and build a foundation. So, freshman, sophomore year, it took some structuring, and it took some time to develop a good routine. And by, junior, senior year, I started putting on the mass. I started eating better food, really taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. And, just it didn't really hit me that anything changed until, other people started seeing it and treating me differently or like asking me questions about it. And then I started feeling like I had there was more to me. There was like I had something, and there was more character that I just built, and I didn't even know it. And, so just being disciplined with that has built a lot of confidence over the years with it's hard to describe, but it's just being disciplined and doing it repetitively gives you confidence for anything that's going to take a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And it's also for, short durations of things that suck. Like, I don't know, whether it's, a job or, it's a conversation or it's a workout, it sucks in the short term, but doing it repetitive times, working out has shown me that I can withstand short amounts of stress, medium amounts of stress, and long-term amount of stress. And in that, weightlifting is like the rock. It keeps you humble, and no matter what, it's always going to be there. It's going to be the same. The only thing that changes is you and how you attack it. So I've garnered confidence with that, knowing that I can withstand the stresses of weightlifting, both intense, moderate, and light. And, it's all within me to do. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like where it all started, and that's what I've learned from that. But other things with confidence that have carried over is self-reflection and self-awareness. Like, I remember working at a job, my first job, that, you know, it wasn't high school anymore. I was working with a lot more adults, a lot more people that have seen things, done things, or just have withstanded the grind of life. And it was different for me. Like, it wasn't school. I couldn't just joke around or be a goofball all the time. Like, I had to get serious. And I was, you know, weightlifting still kept me grounded, kept me going. But the other stressors of working a job and 8 hours a day was different. And it was definitely a wake up call with that. So I had some hard times with that, but with that specific job, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about people, learned a lot about myself. And it, here, we might have to clip that one out. Pause. I'm trying to think. I look like when I'm looking.
So Nick, I want to ask you a quick question about the thing you said earlier. And so when you said people first noticed that you were, you know, different than everyone else, did you notice first yourself? Because it usually goes, you know, you see the changes first, and then the people that are closest, and then it kind of, it's like an effect, you know, the further out the person, they notice it last, and the people that are closest to you notice it first. Did you notice it first yourself?
I'd like to say yes. I'm not going to tell you truthfully because I don't know. I mean, I check myself every day in the mirror. You know, that's just one of those things but I think I did a little bit. Like, I just noticed I was a little more puffier. I'd see veins in different places. And yeah, I did see it there. And then, you know, family, friends, you know, they'd be like, oh, your calves are looking bigger. Or, you know, like I would work traps all the time, and they'd be like, oh yeah, your traps got bigger. It's like, sweet. And then I remember just walking down the hallways at school, you know, random kid would be like, oh man, you've been working out a little bit, or like people would want to like want to arm wrestle or something like that. Like, hey, you want to arm wrestle? And oh, and another thing with that confidence thing is, I remember there was this kid that we arm wrestled like probably 2 years before, maybe the year before, and we stalled, or he almost beat me, but it wasn't a clear win, but it was more closer to his side, I think. But then after that year and a half or 2 years, however long it took, we arm wrestled. He said, hey, Nick, you want to arm wrestle? And I just knew, I'm like, are you sure you want to? Because I was working out so much that like, I knew I had that power in me. I had the self-confidence of, you know, I know I can get you this time. And yeah. And I did. It was easy, you know what I'm saying? Because it just was. But
how much do you think the competition plays into it? Because we talked about football earlier, and you just mentioned the arm wrestling. And I feel like competition is huge. It doesn't matter what it is, but I want to get your perspective on how competition has driven you, you know, because in football, you know, it's a wide receiver. I remember you were a wide receiver, and you went up against those corners, and, you know, it's one-on-one. Whoever's stronger, you know, whoever's faster, you know, it's one-on-one. There's no one else. I mean, there may be a safety over the top, but, you know, it's basically just one-on-one, and you have to be stronger than the next guy. So what is your perspective on that?
Yeah, it's both physically and mentally competitive. Whatever the edge is that you're striving to achieve, it will help. So I think, yeah, competition is huge because, you know, iron sharpens iron, man sharpens man. So the only way you're going to be able to test yourself is if you're testing up against others. So in football, you know, it's who's rougher, who's nastier, who's grittier, who wants that ball more. And these things didn't come to me naturally as much as it was, you know, my dad would like give me little tips of like, you know, you got to have that to yourself, you know, you need to, you know, if they got the ball, go after that ball, start ripping, start hitting that ball out of their arms or their hands or something like that. So yeah, as a receiver, I remember I got a pass from D Wilkes and for a touchdown, and it was, you know, there was a guy right on me, but as soon as I got that, I ripped it down. And it's, you know, you want to be tougher, stronger than the other guy, like at all times. Like no matter what, go down fighting though. You know what I'm saying? So, but competition is huge. You know, it's it's the only way to test yourself truly,
Mm-hmm.
to test strength against strength. Yes, with like weightlifting, you know, you're testing yourself, you're pushing your own limits, or, you know, but when you go up against other people that are sentient and have the same ideals, same virtues, maybe same values as you are,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're both there for the same reason, obviously, to get stronger. Like I'll say with jiu-jitsu, for example, you know, when you got a guy trying to choke you out, are you just going to let it happen, or are you going to fight back, right? And so you got two beasts going at each other. It's going to be a test. You're going to be testing yourself, and it's competitive, and it's insane. But as I'm trying to express, I think competition is huge. It is definitely huge. It is the ultimate way to see to see where your level is in comparison.
I think definitely surrounding yourself with people that are better than you, you know, they're going to only bring you up. And I think that's, you know, when you train with the best, you become better, you know, if you work out with someone. And we'll talk about my story soon. But do you want to go back and talk about, so we were talking about your work story. Do you want to continue on that realm?
Yeah, it was, so with working, you know, you're not around kids your same age anymore. You're around elderly people, adults, you know, mid to late 20s age groups. And, you know, people, it's weird seeing different kinds of life and different kinds of people. And depending on the job, like, you know, different jobs have different kind of attitudes. You know, you walk into a construction site, the way they treat each other is going to be different if you walked into into a kitchen, or if you walked into a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all different types of stuff. So adapting to the people I was around was tough, and I had my days and they were bad, but I'll start trickling in my wilderness and nature exploration stuff. Is that during my first job that I've been telling you about, is when I first started doing my solo expeditions out in the woods, and during the winter time, which was just made it more tougher. I was really into like Vikings and stuff, and like mindset, like they were a hardy people, so I kind of want to honor their ways by testing myself out in the winter and out in the cold. So doing that and knowing that I could do that, spend a night out in the cold and then go to work the next day, like my confidence level and my calmness was just, it was like monk level. I walked in there, you care about your job, but like I literally didn't care about anything. I'm like, I just came in, dude, I just survived out there. Nothing could bother me that day. Like nothing could stress me out. And I was chill. Maybe because I was literally chilled to the bone all night, but I was chill.
You have had hypothermia there. I'm not sure.
I got the Sub-Zero sleeping bag, and I got the tent, the darn tough socks and everything. But yeah, like it was just how trying to trickle in how the confidence can carry over to different aspects of life. That was kind of like an example of that.
I want to ask you a question about how did you get turned on to like the Viking? Like, how did you learn about the Vikings, and how did you like want to embody the Vikings? I find that curious or interesting.
I've always, like, video games and movies and all that, and like literature, I've always been impressed and fascinated with like the warrior culture and the more fantasy kind of knights in armor and slaying beasts and dragons and having this tight-knit group of guys, just that old honor code and honor bound kind of system where it seemed like things were more virtuous and they had values that like I kind of resonate with but are hard to embody with our modern life. So yeah, back when I was like always been fascinated, and then I started watching this history series Vikings, and for some reason that just something clicked after I saw that. I was like, dude, that's awesome. These guys are awesome. And then I just, started looking up more Viking stuff, history and books, and understanding the actual historical piece of the Vikings. And I started getting tattoos of them and stuff. And then I started just trying to do that hardy outdoor wilderness stuff. So I'd probably say about a year or two after I graduated high school, 2015, is when I started getting into it. And yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just because it just seemed like there were hard men back then. They were tough and gritty. And something about that just drew me towards it, where it's like, I kind of want to be something like that.
I, li-
As
I, I like it a lot. And the reason why I ask about it is because I've kind of have a similar thing with the Greeks. I kind of, the Greek, kind of the perfect proportions of the body that has always kind of really fascinated with me. And the way of the warrior is very, it's kind of interesting that we both like look at it or different perspectives. Like you have a Viking and we have like there's Greeks, like there's all these different ways that you can be a warrior, and it doesn't have to it doesn't have to be like from one a certain area. It's how people identify with the past and how they want to be in the future, I think, really. And I think that it just kind of shows what we're striving for, and it's kind of like our end goal and what kind of person we want to see ourselves become. And we're going to continue to talk about confidence. Do you have anything else you want to add to your confidence stories? I really liked actually how you said that. All right, so we're back and we're talking about how to build confidence. We're talking about Nick's story about how he spent the night in the wilderness in cold Vermont. And folks, that is a very cold night. I've experienced about 18 of them in Vermont myself, and I never did it. So we're going to talk about, Nick, what was it like to spend a night in winter in Vermont?
It was scary, no doubt. No doubt. It's mentally challenging, physically challenging. The way I did it was I would set out from my house with, the first time I ever did it, I had a sled full of gear, probably like 40 or 50 pounds of unnecessary gear that I'm just trudging along in the snow with, just taking breaks all up and through. And when I finally got to where I deemed campable, I guess, or deemed worthy of a campsite, so like my feet were frozen. So I'm just kind of like, man, I can't wait to get these boots off, get my socks off real quick, warm these up. It was just stiff from being cold, and then after sweating so much, and then that sweat freezing all of a sudden, it's just stiff. Your body starts, it's just a rough time. You're just aching and whatnot. And so once the fire's all set up, I brought food with me. So that was, it's like, that was the break from the suffering, I guess you could say. It was like, all right, I'm just eating this food. I think I brought a steak or something like that. And it was that. And it was kind of all in the moment. Like it really brought you to the moment and what you were doing. The cold's all around you. You feel your body, you feel the cold in your bones. So you're sitting there taking it all in. There's nothing to do but take it all in. It was calming, it was peaceful. Now that I look back at it, because it's like, what calming and peaceful to me is just stillness. And all there was stillness. And once that fire started going out and I started thinking about sleep, it felt like it got even colder, just because, you're slowing down, you're not moving as much, and it's going to be a cold night. So what the part I didn't expect was how quiet it was, though. Like how quiet, like you could hear a branch fall or the wind snap a branch off a tree, and your mind is on high alert, because one, you're out in the woods, you're out in, sorry, I had a burp. You're out in nature. It's just you. There isn't, you're not in your house, you're not in your bed, you're not in the confines of your house. You're unprotected, basically. Not that there's gruesome beasts out there in the wild of Vermont. Could be, who knows? But it brings this, it almost brings this primordial sense out of you that you're just aware, you're just alert. Your ears are hyper vigilant. your eyes are hyper focused anytime you look anywhere. Any time a noise or something moves, you're on it. You're just, like just being my first time.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I can relate it as. And yeah, it was scary, man. It was, I wouldn't say it's like life-threateningly scary, but it was just, a skittishness to everything. It's just like, it's nerve-wracking. It's, I'm sleeping and I hear a branch snap in the middle of the night. It's like, what is that? What's coming for me? I mean, I had like an axe and a knife, but it's, what is it? I'm
sorry. Do you think that like you would get you obviously, I think if you worked at that over time, you'd get more focus at it. So if you have done it more than like once, so if you like went out and then you did it again, do you think you would like improve, or like how do you think that progression would go?
Oh, absolutely. It's almost factual, because I'll tell you right now that the next time I went out, I could walk longer for a longer stretch of time, because I knew how to prepare myself better, what to wear, how much to bring, how much poundage I wanted to bring with me, and know how much it would tire me out for the amount of stuff I brought. So, and being aware of the weather conditions, because that would also contribute to either what I'm bringing or what I'm hauling. The progression was almost vertical, man. Wasn't as, sometimes it's still a little nerve-wracking sometimes when you hear something snap out in the woods, but eventually my mindset turned to, I'm the predator in this in this vicinity. All right, I got the fire. I got the axe. I'm all right. I got a full belly. Let's go. But not to say that, I'll tell you right now that, what is it? It was earlier. It was this summer. Me and a buddy went out, and this time we camped out. I had this tent set up, but we slept right outside next to the fire, just in our tents, or not in our tents, on our sleeping bags. And, I'm sitting there, and you hear it sounded like this choking, wheezing sound. It was like it was like three intervals. It was like, it stopped, and it would do it again. And like, I came out of a dream with that one. I was like, what was that? I'm like, oh, maybe I was just dreaming. So I go back to sleep, and then it got closer. I wasn't sleeping again, but that state where you're like, you're starting to drift off, but you're not unconscious yet. It was like that. So I hear the three weird guttural coughs again, and my buddy's like, Nick, wake up, something's out there, bear, something like that. And I'm just like, what? and he just growls at it, and I'm like, don't encourage it. we hear it run off into you can hear the sound of bushes and moving. It was moving away fast.
Mm-hmm.
So like the confidence level of being able to go out there and have a night of sleep and not worry too much about things, it was vertical. But there is no telling what can happen out in the woods. And I think that also that brings reality into awareness. Like, anything bad can happen at any moment, but all you can do is really just live in the moment and live with what you got to work with. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's the best part about the wilderness stuff and the nature exploring, and it brings you to the moment when all you have to focus on is what is around you. And anything that you got going on in your head when you go out in the wilderness, it clears itself up. You're too focused on everything around you, the streams, the trees, it just brings it all into into perspective, and everything else just goes out the window. You don't even care about anything.
It really reminds me of kind of, what was that book? It was called Hatchet. The guy like gets lost on his plane, and then he's like, he has to fend for himself. And how do you think like someone would do with like multiple days? Have you ever done multiple days, or have tried to do multiple days before?
I haven't done multiple. I think because what I do is I bring to answer your question, no, I haven't done multiple days. but I would definitely like to. It's just my only concern is preservation of like food. Like I'd love to bring just like steaks and chickens and stuff. So I think I should invest in a Yeti cooler. That would that'd probably help. But yeah, on YouTube I see all those guys all the time doing those 3, 4, 5 day a week trips, and it's like, man, those guys are out there.
It really puts things in perspective, because like people are so accustomed to living in a bed, and honestly, like like for homeless people, it's kind of that's their reality, and it's just,
yeah,
it really it really makes you grateful for what you have already. I think that's also another thing, and when you go into work the next day, like you said, it's not going to be a challenge compared to that. It puts it really, it's minuscule comparatively. And I think that's good. Is there anything else you want to add to your how to build a confidence story before we move on to my story?
Yeah, I think we're all going to eventually go through one of these, whether or not we have yet or going to, but breakups, man. Breakups suck. I was dating a girl for like 3 years, 3.5 something years.
Wow.
And it was crazy, man. Like the amount of how high my ego was and how crushed it got when it all went down, when it all started going south, man. Like we were off and on for a couple of years, and it was just that awareness, knowing that you affect someone and they affect you in a tremendous amount, whether you know it or not, or you don't think it bothers you until you're detached cold turkey from them, or from or from something. Like people with substance abuse problems, until they're detached from it, they didn't know how bad they needed it or how addicted they were to it.
Right.
But same thing with emotions, man. Like if someone's your emotional if someone your emotions are reliant upon someone and not your own self, once that's taken away and all the benefits that came with them, it's hard, man. And then you start looking inward and you're like, all right, what do I got to fix about myself that I didn't like about what happened? Like it was messy. I considered it really messy, and I've learned a lot since then, and that's helped me with my confidence a lot, just as being a person and just carrying myself and being who I want to be. It's tough.
I think you also learn about how to be in relationships in the future. You learn from a past relationship. I mean, I've had a few of them, and they haven't panned out. Yeah, I'm currently single, so you know how that goes. But I think you just have to learn, and you have to just move on. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing I want to talk about with relationships. What were you trying to do after the breakup? Like, where was your mind going, and what were you trying to what was your process in that time, if you don't mind me asking?
It was trying to fix all the wrong that I did, and trying to make amends to all the wrong that I did. But it was also so toxic that it was like I try to make up for a wrong, and then I'd get mad that my amend wasn't being appreciated or reciprocated, and I'd get nasty back. And it was really emotional, and it was volatile. Like you don't realize how mean of a person you can be until you're it's mean, nasty, sad. Like I will admit, dude, not admit, how do I want to say it? I'm deeply ashamed of how I acted back then. It was just like embarrassing, with the breakup. It was just, it's like, ooh, but you need that to learn from. It was like, and sorry, what was the question? I was going off. Like, what did
So what were you trying to do to gain that confidence after the breakup? Like, what was your process, and how did you try to find you again?
Oh, okay. I started thinking of more spiritual things. That's when I think after the breakup, I really started trying to dive into the spirit, and not so much religion, but understanding it and understanding spirituality. I was also smoking pot back then too. So that kind of was like heightening my mysticism, you could say. And I would just try to hang out with people, hang out with friends. And it was my mindset was very muddy back then, man. It wasn't as much of trying to gain confidence as it was just trying to, like, you know, all I knew, like with lifting, that was my rock, bro. Like that's all I did, was all I wanted to do was lift, because I knew it's not that I knew that I had to do it. I did, obviously, but it's been such a huge part of my life that it's just me, like it's just something that I do that keeps me straight and narrow, I guess, like, so it was just basically keeping on that until all the loudness of life smoothed itself out, until it quieted itself down. And then I started figuring out, all right, should I hang out with these people, or why am I hanging out with these people because of this, or am I hanging out with them because of that? Like, is it because of the pot? Is it because I like them as a person? Like, wisdom started coming from what I was taking away, like what I would take away, or what I would, how do you describe that? What I could go without and still be fine. You know what I mean?
So you're basically finding like why you truly want to do something. You're not just doing it for the sake of doing it. I've been caught up in, just being part of a group and not really having to say in what's going on. And, I felt like, you have to be that helpless, and then you can be like, okay, I have to, figure out what I want to do, and that's the big thing after a relationship. You can get into a relationship and you're so consumed by the other person, every move is tied with them. And then, like you said, 1 second or 1 minute, they're just no longer in your life anymore. And then you have to figure out, okay, you have to pick up the pieces, and you just have to re-find yourself again and figure out what makes you happy, because chances are you were doing things that might not have completely made you happy in a relationship.
Right. And also just your mind. Yeah. Since you are just a pile of pieces, it's like picking up the pieces that actually mattered and throwing away the shards that don't matter. And, yeah. And as far as I can see, that with the lifting and the gaining of confidence, like, trust in that one thing that you're good at and that you do that will keep you disciplined, because that'll take you through all the different myriads of life, and will be your rock. It'll hold you down. That
really will.
That's that.
Iron's not going anywhere.
No, it's your best friend for sure.
Not going anywhere. I've used that to get over relationships in the past, and it's actually probably a good segue. So we're going to start off with my story now. Thank you, Nick, for telling all those great stories. Those were a lot of interesting tidbits, and we'll talk about, and we'll get into some questions later on. I'm sure we'll rehash a few things, but now we're going to dive into my story. So,
story time.
So basically, I actually started lifting about 6 years ago, this coming week. I know exactly. It was like a couple days before Thanksgiving, and I can kind of paint that picture. So I believe I was a junior in high school. I had just been cut from the high school basketball team, and it was a devastating blow. And I had stopped playing football. I had stopped playing basketball. And it was the first moment in my life that I had, not been able to play sports. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I have to figure out, kind of like being cut from a relationship, you have to find something new to do to, release that energy. And I wanted to, I was always very skinny. Looking back at it, I weighed about 140 pounds when I played basketball. I was running all the time. I was burning a ton of calories, and I wasn't eating anything. So in comparatively to what I had to begin to eat, and we'll talk about that too throughout the course of my story. But yeah, I was about 6 foot, 140 pounds when I started into the gym. I think that's what I weighed in at. And it was the first moment I stepped in the gym. It just changed my life. the people I met in the gym, it really came down to the people who pushed me in the gym and motivated me. I learned so much from the people that I met, and it became a rock for the rest of my life, and it's something I'm going to continue to do throughout the course of my life. And I want to do what I did for myself for other people. That's why I started JP FIT4LIFE, and I'll talk about that too. I've been training people for 3 years, and it's honestly the greatest feeling that I could ever imagine. Helping people out, helping people accomplish their goals is just seeing people that didn't think they could do something. Because I knew at one point that I didn't think I could, lift and be big in the gym and never feel confident in the gym. I know what it's like not to be able to think you can't do something. So when I was able to, conquer my fear in the gym, it took 5-6 years. It's coming up on 6 years, and it really put things into perspective, like we were talking about earlier. Being able to do something that a lot of people can't think you do. You can't think they do. And I'm gonna pause that. The real power that came from me working out in the gym was being able to do something that a lot of people couldn't think I could do. And it really, proved that I didn't need their, approval to do something. I was able to do something on my own. Obviously, I did have help. I had people that pushed me in the gym, but, it's something that can't be taken away from you. You had to put in the work. You can have people, you have a personal trainer, like that's what I do, but it ultimately comes down to the person. And, you can't take away a physique from someone. You can take away, money comes and goes, but if you're in good health, they can't take that away from you. And it's just something that you have to work for. And then, you can kind of use that in other areas of life. If you're like, okay, I couldn't do something before and I ended up doing it, right? That was the gym. Why don't I try that in a different area of life and realize that, it might take 5 or 6 years and you're going to make progress, but it's going to take time. So it gave me that idea of perspective on time as well. And that's why I'm able to really start this business, because I know it's at least going to take 5 to 6 years to be even completely like off the ground, and probably will take even longer than that. I'm not in it for the sprint. I'm in it for the journey. And that's really what fitness taught me. And I think that, life is long, and, we're relatively young comparatively. I think that as we get older, we'll figure out how our confidence, is going to change and how we're going to grow as people and what we really want, because we're really not even probably completely developed yet. I think that we still are a couple of years away. I know that you're a year older than me. How old are you, Nick?
24.
24. I turned 23 next week. So we're not even in the first quarter of our life. Let's put it in football terms.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
We're not even in the first quarter. I think with modern medicine, we'll be living close to 90 years. And if we're in good health, another big benefit of, staying in shape is, we're going to live longer, we're going to eat healthier, and we're going to be stronger mentally and physically. So that's why I'm so hopeful about, the patience of life and being healthy, and the benefits that can truly come from staying in shape and working out and exercising, because it's just unmatched in so many aspects and so underrated in today's culture. I think that people really take their health for granted. I really do. And like you said, when you're outside, you focus on eating, and that's really what you focus on, eating and staying alive. But the gym, I think with health, people focus on, they don't really focus on the things that matter. And that's basically their health, because when they're injured or sick, that's all they want to do is be fit. And, but before that, they're focusing on junk. And they're like, well, how did I get injured? Or how am I sick? Well, you're eating junk. So that's how you got it.
Yep.
And it's just crazy. But I think that, it kind of shows that priorities are everything. Priorities are truly everything. I always try to, wake up every morning and think about what I'm thankful for. I write down, I'm thankful for, my apartment. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm already in a great mindset after that. I already have these things that are great. Like I slept in bed last night. Like a lot of people just wake up out of bed and they're just like, all right, it's a day. They have a negative mindset going in. So I think that they're just going to have a negative rest of the day, because how you begin your day is, how the rest of your day goes. And all we can really do as people is conquer the day. I think that Well, what was David Ball's quote? Win the day. I think it was win the day.
Was it Ball or was it Holcomb?
That's a great question.
Because I remember the one I remember from Ball was be the hammer, not the nail. But I don't know if that was Holcomb or
they were switching coaches, so it was like in between. I don't even remember. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, we had like four coaches throughout our whole high school career or something like that.
It was win the day. I'm pretty sure it was win the day. And I don't remember who said it, but I guess it doesn't completely matter. But yeah, it's basically, that's how I like to do. I like to get better every day, and that's how I, try to preach with everyone in the gym, and that's how I live my life in the gym as well. And I think that, yeah, helping others is kind of what I want to do for other people. I want to help them, see the value in exercising and fitness, and see how it's helped my life, and how I can, show them they can help other people's lives as well, and just kind of see, it's really not that bad once you get past. It takes a while to really, the first couple of months are kind of, it's kind of tough in the gym. You have to force yourself to do it, but eventually, over time it becomes fun, and that's game over. That's really game over at that point. And then until you suffer an injury, which I've done a couple times, then you have to kind of re-pick up the pieces and kind of figure out what you're going to do next and how you're not going to have that injury again. And I think that's a huge part as well. But yeah, once you really get into the habit of going to the gym, it becomes, it becomes fun. It becomes fun to challenge yourself and see, okay, I did the 60s one week, and then, I can do the 70s one week on a certain exercise. And then you constantly are, you can challenge yourself, and you can push yourself to the limit. And, you reap the rewards of that. And I think that, the gym always has great, there's a lot of dopamine that, we get from lifting in the gym. I think, it's very real. And a lot of people, they're just like, they already have a negative connotation of the gym. They don't even think that, they can get all these benefits. They can be, they can be healthy. They can live longer. They can be happier. You can be more confident. Like I'm just getting started on those. But there's just so many more benefits that people can really get in the gym if they tried it. I think that they have to try it, but they just can't try it once, and they have to keep over and over again. And that's the toughest part, is consistency. And
agreed.
It comes back to our sports days. I think that when we played sports, you said football and jiu-jitsu. I think that discipline is something that we grew up with. And I think that it's really, it's been ingrained in our lives. So when we apply it to other areas, we see results and progression. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I think I had a few. I was writing some stuff down while you were talking.
Gotcha.
Okay. So when you were, it sounded like, you didn't have to prove anything to anyone or something like that. It was like, it was earlier when you talked about when you're first getting in the gym and you were doing it, it sounded like, you could, I wrote down proving people wrong, kind of like you didn't have to rely on anyone else, that you proved to yourself of your own capabilities or something like that. So what were your thoughts in your head, or what was your mindset at the time when you started seeing that you could push past your old limits? Like, what were some of the positive or negative reactions of either yourself or people around you, or what was it like?
I think that when let me try to figure out when at first, I started, about when I started really making results was probably about 2 years in, when I kind of I really felt invigorated, and I felt kind of enlightened, and I felt that, I was in better shape than a lot of these other people, and they didn't really understand what it meant to be in shape. It kind of gave me a leg up on the competition in a sense. And I really felt that. What was that?
Steroids.
2 years it was a decent. That was when I started seeing like decent results. I think about 2 years. I think I was about I think I'd grown to like 6'2". I was probably around 180, and I started seeing, you know, that lean muscle definition. You start seeing the deltoid and the tricep pop just a little bit, and you're just like,
Yeah, I remember seeing like a picture of you on Instagram for like not seeing you for a while, and then I saw like a picture, and I was like, Freddie's been in the gym.
yeah, and it just made me feel like, okay, it's like all these people were telling me I couldn't do something, and you know, I did it. It was like, oh, well, I guess that, not to say that other opinions don't matter, but you have to figure out which opinions. Like, you have to realize the people that are close to you and, you know, the family and friends opinions matter a little bit more than everyone else. And you have to, you know, it kind of made me like make my circle smaller, because I really wanted to focus around being with people that are like-minded. And that's what I've been focusing on the last few years, as well as, you know, finding like-minded people to motivate and push me like I try to do for everyone else. And that's just kind of the atmosphere that I want to have. So it really made me evaluate my circle as well, the people that were driven and had similar ideas, and a lot of people that are fit like you and me. And I think that that's really the big thing with people with same mindsets. It doesn't matter where they are in the world. Like, I connected with a friend of mine who actually lives in Turkey. He's 9 hours ahead of me. We had to schedule a phone call, and he was so like-minded. He was so motivational, and it was just kind of like, how did I connect with someone? It's all the way in Turkey. I'm in Chicago. You're in Vermont. It's just like, we're all so like-minded, and there's other people like that across the country as well. And it's just like, you want to be around the same people, even in these times with COVID and everything. Like, we're making it happen. You know, you can make excuses or you can have results, and you can't have both. And, you know, you can really be around the people you want to be around that are going to push you and motivate you. And that's what I really wanted after the gym. I wanted someone that's going to hold me accountable, a friend, a partner, family members that are going to hold me accountable to discipline like I had in the gym, and like I preach for all my clients. But yeah, I think it was more about, yeah, my circle that I had at that time, about really, you know, picking and choosing who was in my circle.
Like, your circle eventually either, so you're saying it was starting to diminish because where your values and where your mindset wasn't agreeing with the people around you, and it was just like, how do you say it? You just gotta cut away what you don't need anymore. You know,
and we were talking
what's gonna help you.
We were talking about drinking earlier, and I think that's a big one. Because I started lifting when I was about 17, I believe, and then I was around 19 when I started seeing decent results around 19, 20. And then, you know, I turned 21, and then, you know, I had to kind of reevaluate the people I was going out with, like drinking with. And then, you know, you have to reevaluate your circle around year 3. Around year 4, I was like, you know, I had to create that circle of motivation and, you know, empowerment, and try to keep people that are going to help me stay on track. Because, you know, going to the bars it's a pit stop, and that's where a lot of people that are, you know, trying to lose weight, you know, that's where they fail. They're drinking, and that's the worst calories you could ever put into your body. It's crazy that it's legal. I mean, it's kind of crazy that it's legal, but.
Oh man, I agree, man. It's, I mean, humans have been doing it forever, but it's still like we have the understanding of all the short to mid to long-term effects of using the substance or using alcohol in whatever way people see fit. You know, it's like that kind of the idea of balance. You know, if you can balance it, yeah, have fun once in a while. But if you're going to do it every weekend or twice, 3 times a week, you're going to start to see your health deteriorate. And it might not be immediately. Well, the immediate deterioration is you're yakking, you're vomiting, you're having your, you know, you can't sleep. You know, it's all that stuff starts happening, and it's happening right before your eyes. You just got to look at it, but people choose to ignore it until it's too late sometimes.
I think it was, you know, I was on a college campus as well, which was even worse. And I've seen so many of those situations, like you said, with, you know, vomiting and people getting injured. And I think that, you know, you can lose your life pretty easily from drinking. If you, especially binge drinking in college, it's not a pretty sight. And but yeah, back to what I was talking about earlier. What was I saying? I'm gonna pause it.
We're talking
So yeah, with drinking, I think that it's about, removing those bad influences from your life and try to keep those good influences in your life. And, there's not much is going to happen at the bar. I mean, you can connect on a job or something, but it's relatively unlikely. And I think that, there's better ways of spending your time. And as we get older, I think we have to realize the value of time. And obviously we said earlier that life is long, but I think that the sooner that we get the better influences into our lives, the better our life is going to be. So if you realize you want certain people in your life, you shouldn't settle for anything less. And
True.
people that are going to motivate you and empower you. But yeah, do you have any other questions?
You were talking about how injuries and stuff, where people start working out or start taking care of their health after they've been injured, but they don't take care of it beforehand. What is some advice that you would give to someone so they, like, I guess that would be the whole basic fitness thing, but like, what are some things that you've done yourself to, not as precautions, but what do you do to, what's the word?
What would you do to prevent that from happening? Like
Yes, prevention. Like, what are some preventative methods that you incorporate into your own life so things don't happen to you, so you don't get banged up too bad, or you don't you don't get ill?
I think that's what we can talk about, diet and nutrition now. And we can also talk about I think the big one though, the big thing that would stand out to me is probably don't ego lift. I think I learned that pretty early on. I think in my 6-year journey of lifting, I probably learned about that in year 2 or 3. It was right around when I was, starting to get bigger. I was trying to ego, I got a little cocky, year 2, year 3. I've been doing it for a while. I was hanging out with some friends who motivated me and empowered me, and that's, who I was really around. And they were helping me kind of figure out my journey and how they wanted to, help me evolve as a person. But yeah, I was around year 2, year 3. I started ego lifting a little bit. So then, you get that first injury, and then you want to not have done it. You don't want to, you went too fast, too quickly. And that can be an analogy for a bunch of different other parts of life. But I would say starting off slow and not ego lifting, really focusing on doing less weight. You can make less weight feel pretty heavy, honestly, if you just, take your time and you do a lot. If you do more reps, like we talked about rep ranges earlier, I think 5 to 12 is the range that I have people, stay in roughly. And I would say, 1 rep maxes, some people will try to go for 1 rep maxes all the time, which I don't highly recommend that either. But yeah, starting slow is a big one. Starting slow and, maybe not hopping in the gym 7 days a week when you first start out. I think maybe you should start with, maybe 2 or 3 days, kind of start, maybe go 3 or 4, and then I try to recommend about like 5 or 6 days a week, depending on your schedule, around 5 or 6 days a week in the gym. But yeah, preventing injuries, I would just say focusing on form too, and you can always learn from people. You can learn from personal training at JP FIT4LIFE, or you can watch videos on YouTube and you can do the research, which you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot if you just put in the effort in searching for stuff and learning how to do correct form, because there's plenty of good YouTube videos that can help you, and you can learn about diet and nutrition, which is also a great way to help avoid being sick. You're getting the right vitamins and nutrients into your body to have your body functioning at the top of its game, which is what you want when you're in the gym. You don't want to be really sluggish in the gym, and that's how you get hurt. That's another way you can get hurt. You put too much weight and you're just not ready for it. Like if you're not getting any sleep, which is another one. It's also a huge part of it. If you're going in the gym with like 2 hours of sleep, good luck. It's not gonna be pretty. But yeah, but I would say that, yeah, definitely what you put into your body is a big part of how you avoid sickness and how you avoid, COVID is a great example of this actually, because a lot of the COVID related deaths are from, other characteristics like obesity and, heart disease from years of eating cholesterol and, fatty foods and all that sort of thing. So that's why COVID is catching up to a lot of different people. And I mean, we're obviously in the younger generation, so we're not really going to be affected by it too much. But with the older generation, it's had these, years of eating unhealthy, and they have now these pre-existing conditions, and they get COVID. It's not a good combo. So I think that's
just gonna hit them twice as hard.
What's that?
That's just gonna hit them twice as hard.
Yeah, and their immune systems aren't ready for it. So I think that's key to staying not sick or healthy on that front. See, what other questions do you got for me? Keep them coming.
So when you got so was the catalyst to your weightlifting journey, you said it was being cut from the basketball team? Was it just that, or can you think of anything else that possibly, ignited the flame until it was burning on fire? Maybe like the b-ball was just like enough to tip you over the edge. Was there like anything beforehand that kind of like, people are like, oh, you're strong,
I have another story. When you said that, it popped into my mind. That's why I started smiling. But I believe I was on a basketball court one day. I was just hanging out with some friends, and there's a couple girls there, and they like compared my arm to theirs, and their arm was bigger than mine. And not to be like, I mean, it's a little sexist, but it's true. When I compared my arm to the woman's arm, and her arm was bigger, I was like, something's got to change. I was like 16 or 17. This was a little bit before I was cut by basketball, but it was a couple of years earlier, and I hadn't really, gotten to that low point. That's how you go from low to high in life. And then all those low moments are going to happen. So you have to have those rock bottoms, go back up. And yeah, it was something, it was fueling in the back of my mind. It was kind of like, how you have an idea and it's not fully formed, but it's like in your mind and you're thinking about it and you don't know how to get it out on paper until you start writing it. And then you start, progressing. And I think that's something that's, I had to have something really, really bad happen after that to, go after it.
Gotcha. It's like, I wonder if the snowball effect would have that would fit in for that, being an analogy for that. You have the little things and then it builds up over time. And then all of a sudden you got this big snowball. I got to fucking lift. So,
I mean, I think that's the gym effect, is the snowball effect. I think by year 2 or 3, I think I thought I was pretty top notch, but then injuries set you back, and then you're humbled again. So
that one hero lift,
ups and downs, just like in relationships we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
No doubt.
There was just to elaborate, or to do you have an elaboration setting, or do you want to like save that for after, or can I do that now? Like there's some stuff that you said that I agreed with and also wanted to like touch some more detail on.
Yeah, go for it. You can chime in with whatever you want. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, when you said like win the day and getting better like every day, I heard a lifter on YouTube say it, and like I've been implementing it myself, is like when you're in the gym, and you're doing a specific exercise. Let's just say you have 3. Let's say you're doing 3 exercises that day. So you're doing a bench, a tricep push down, and like a curl thing or something like that. Like whatever you're doing on bench, whatever you're doing on your tricep, whatever you're doing on curl, try to make it just a little bit harder or better than you did last workout. Like if you're doing a 5x5 for 205 on bench, try 210. If you did 3 sets of 10 on the tricep push down, try 3 sets of 12. It's like just those little tiny things that you can do to make it better, which also over time is going to be a progressive overload, which you're going to get stronger, you're going to get cut, you're going to get lean, you're going to get, whatever your goal is, it all helps over time.
I think that, yeah, you said the term progressive overload, and that's actually what it's called in the gym. And I think that's also a good analogy for life as well. You know, you have progressive overload in life, like, you know, you were doing tasks that you couldn't do the other day. So say, you know, you had a task at work that you failed on in the past or something, then a couple of weeks later, you know, you learn from that experience. And then and your boss says you got to do it again, and this time you're able to do it because, you know, you had that failure and you know what that felt like. So you can also have that in the gym where you're deadlifting, you know, you fail doing 12 reps of 225 or something like that. And then the next week you go back and try it again, or you try to go for 13 and you get 13 that time. And it's just like you try to go for a little bit more each time. I think that's a good way to grow. You know, if you can do that every day, you're going to make progress over time.
Absolutely. And to go back to the you know, people, you know, they'll lift after they figure out something's wrong. And I think it kind of plays into life right now where people are looking more for a remedy as soon as they find out something's wrong rather than prevention. You know, like we're into the quick fix, the quick fixer-upper, you know, just whatever takes the least amount of time to get us the result that we're looking for, whether it's just to feel better or to get this injury healed or something like that. But like you said, you know, if you were already, you know, living a fit lifestyle, you'd have way less injuries and a better overall time of just living. And it's just that discipline, knowing that you got to put in the work all the time. You can never stop, because when you stop, that's when, you know, that's when the injuries will happen. Or, you know, it's like I was just talking to a buddy the other day. He said he started lifting because he wants to pursue a kind of like a football dream. But he said, you know, I really like lifting because now it's making my job easier. You know, and the job that he works, you know, there's potential for injury. So if you're strong, not just for your job, like obviously you can get adapted to your job, but if you're getting strong outside of your work environment, it'll make your work environment that much easier, and there'll be that much less room for injury because you're already taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to carry over to your work life. So I think people just got to keep that in mind, is, you know, people will do whatever they'll just do whatever works until they run into a wall and they're like, oh, how do I get back to doing what I wanted to do versus what I need to do to maintain my health, you know?
I think you mentioned the quick fix, and you're right on the money. And I think that's a lot of society, though. And you mentioned how, you know, that people are looking for that quick fix. They're looking for that quick dopamine hit. And I think that, you know, doctors have been doing that for decades now. They've been giving pills instead of recommending exercise. And, you know, the way we consume food too is in the United States, it's not the quick fix. You know, the healthcare system it's a systematic problem. And I think, you know, they're going to make more money off of healthcare than personal fitness. And I think it's just how our society is. You know, people are trapped in our society in the sense, you know, people are, you know, they're a slave to it almost, and they slave to consumerism as well. And we could talk about that too, and how people are, you know, trying to buy the next thing, and they're trying to get their dopamine hit from that, instead of, you know, trying to focus on their health, which can provide a lot of dopamine as well. So I think that people are looking for the quick fix, and it's really a systematic problem.
Yep. It's like we're living in I don't know if you've ever, there's this book called Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And a lot of the topics or not terms, but the themes in that book are really apparent in life right now, and it's crazy. I highly recommend it.
What's it called? I'm gonna write it down.
Brave New World by Aldous Huxley.
You want to give a sneak preview to the audience?
Yeah, basically it's it follows a guy that he's just basically society is all formed and is run based off of just the pleasures of life, you know. They take this thing called soma, and it's basically like a drug, and you take it and you go into this la la land for X amount of hours. Like, the dosage depends on the person. And it keeps you out of touch with reality, because reality ultimately is suffering and how to fight against it. But in this book, it flips the whole narrative of life around. It's like, oh, life should all just be pleasurable and orgasmic, and they have this, it's just all pleasure all the time. And one guy's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, we're blinding, like the truth is blinded, basically. And it really touches on some stuff. And it's like, it's an overinflation of reality to the point where, like, oh, this seems what's the word? Preposterous. But it's like, no, this is hitting some notes right now. This is hitting some key ideas, and it's playing out in real life.
I'll definitely have to check that out, though. I'm gonna write that. I see, when I read books, I listen to audiobooks. That's the way I consume that content, and I definitely will check that one out.
Yeah, so that book, if you want to see about the whole quick fix thing. I have no more questions, though, if you want to continue your stories there.
All right, let's go into, do you have any like specific like bullet point lessons? So now we're going to go into the lesson. We're going to go back and forth on some lessons that we learned from some of our stories. So like kind of just like give like 3 bullet point like lessons that you really learned from how to build confidence. So kind of talk about some areas that you could help people with that you've learned for yourself.
Okay. Structure or restructure your values, what you consider to be paramount in life, like whether it be morality or strength, what you value most. And if it doesn't align with those, weigh it in your mind, whether it's a person, whether it's an act that you're doing, whether it's a place that you live. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to realign your values, or you already have a structured value system, and the things or the people around you in your life that aren't assimilating to your value system, you got to figure out what to do with it. You either got to cut it out, or you've got to make your feelings known to either those people or to the society, whatever it is, that you either got to make a change, or you got to, you'll start disassociating yourself with those people or with those things. So I'd say that'd be number 1. So restructure or structure values.
Got you.
2, so 3 bullet points. That's one. That's a huge one, that value one. But 2 would be, when you make a plan, make a plan and follow it through to the end. Whatever happens will happen, and it's only failure if you do not learn from it. So obviously, when you make choices on a day-to-day basis, most of the time they're governed because they bring you to where you want to go. But when you're facing the unknown and you have no idea what to do, but you give yourself kind of like a map to follow, it might be a terribly drawn map. It could be with crayon, like a 3-year-old did it. But follow it so you can then make it as accurate as possible after the plan has either fallen through or after you've executed it. So, because then you'll learn from it, whether the map was good or not, and then you can restructure it afterwards. So values, 1, make a plan and follow through. 2, I'd say the third one would be, just a sec.
No pause. All right, we're back, and we're talking about lessons we've learned about how to build confidence. So, Nick, you were thinking about number 3. What is your third lesson that you learned from your life so far?
I'd say 3 would be, for you gym goers, or if you're going to be going to the gym, to know that what you do in the gym will probably be the hardest thing that you will do all day. It's you against you. And that will carry over to other aspects of life where, you got 300 pounds on your back and you're stumbling on your words with a girl in front of you or your boss in front of you when you're trying to ask for a raise, or, you got a dispute with a coworker or something, it puts into perspective, man, I got 300 pounds on my back and I squat this for like 10 reps. Like what am I, what makes this conversation so hard? What makes this confrontation so hard? You know what I mean? It puts in perspective. So keep perspective, basically. It could be worse. It always could be worse. So just.
Those are great. Three, I definitely agree. I think that, perspective is a huge thing when it's coming to confidence, because, that perspective, that over time, and that ability to, we have time to grow, and we look at it, as how young we are. And let's see, I'm going to hop into my 3 lessons now. So the first one is doing something that scares you. And I think this is kind of go back to that perspective. If you're scared of lifting 300 pounds and then, you do it, you're not scared of it anymore. I think that you could do that in life if, like you said, talking to, a girl or something, that could be something scary that could, do something. And then once you do that, you feel like, oh, it's not that bad. And then you can go, you do it again. And then it's not as scary. It's still a little bit scary, nerves are 100% all right. And that means we're doing something right. Usually we have nerves. I think that it's a step in the right direction. We just can't be consumed by them. I think that's, and it's a daily battle. You have to keep fighting and you have to keep going, and consistency on that front is huge. And I think that the 3 P's of confidence, I've also talked about that. I can talk about how patience, preparedness, and I think that practice are huge. And I think that those are, you can also throw perspective in there too for how to build confidence. But having patience and, realizing you're not going to learn something overnight. Like the gym really told me that, you have to work day in and day out to, do something, and it's going to take years. And like we said, with perspective. And I think that you can do that for other areas of life. And, you can have your business, and then you can work on your business every day and not see results. And then, it's going to take 6 months. It's going to take 12 months. It's just going to take more and more time. And preparedness is another one. When I always try to go in the gym, I always try to have a plan. And then I feel like, well, at first I didn't have a plan, but the first couple of years I was like, I could probably do things a little better. I can start learning from people. I can start going online, doing research myself. And I think that, if you have a little bit more of a plan when you're going in, you're going to feel better about yourself. When you're in the gym, you're going to know, okay, it's really helping. When you first get in the gym, it's a shock. And you have to have that shock. But then, you start to plateau. And that happens in all areas of life. We plateau in some areas, and then you have to break that plateau. Excuse me. And I think that you have to readjust, and you have to go back and think about, okay, what am I doing wrong? And that's where the preparation comes in, because then you can bring that to the gym and you're like, all right, I have this game plan. I'm going to be doing chest press. I'm going to be doing chest press incline. I'm going to be doing flies. And, I'm going to be doing a lot more chest work than just, some chest machines that people, some people just start out and they'll just do whatever they find. They don't really have a plan. They go in and wing it. And that only gets you so far to a degree. And I've seen that in my business. And, I'm always trying to continually work on that. And I realize, when I have more preparation for content ideas like this, it's going to turn out better, undeniably. And just basically anything else that I do for that position as well. I think the last one I have is being able to do something that a lot of people can't think you can do. And I think that that's really self-empowering. And I think that, you can apply that to other areas. And I think that over time you can see it in other areas. And I think that it really can be a great factor in helping, become the better you and growing into the person that you were meant to be. Because you can see, okay, I couldn't do this before, but now I can. So let's try it in another area. Okay, it didn't work. All right, we're going to keep trying. And then it finally happens. And then, you try it in another area. And it's all about navigating the roadblocks. And it's going around them or trying to find, practicing and preparing for them, because they're bound to happen. And then you have to get around them. And then that's the highs and lows, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked how you went into depth on make a plan, because that definitely makes a difference when you have a structured plan of how you're going to build yourself up. It'll help. You can. I mean, obviously, you'll get some benefit if you go to a gym, regardless. If you just go in and start doing stuff, you're going to get some. You're going to get some work out of it. Because you're changing up the monotony of your daily routine to doing something physically demanding. But if you go in with a plan, like you said, you do your chest, or you have, instead of just doing 10 different variations of chest, you do your compounds, and then you do your supplementals, and then you do your accessory work. It's a linear, or not linear, but it's a structured way that will benefit you way more than just going off the cuff, And yeah, I like that one. That was good.
I think so. What are you going to do in the future to try to, as we continue to grow into, adults, how are you going to try to increase your confidence, and what are you going to look to, are there any areas that, you haven't really found your confidence in, and how are you going to, tackle that in the future?
So the way I'm going to try and increase or tackle it is to putting myself first, but not in an arrogant way, like not confidence, but having a belief in my ideas that I hold strongly, but being comfortable enough to say my ideas without worrying offending someone. You know what I mean? Like, not having to be apologetic after saying something. If like someone gets bothered by it or someone comes out with a counter argument, you're not as worried about placating to them versus staying true with your own ideas. And no, it's good to absorb and be open-minded with other information, but if it's don't be easily swayed by others' opinions.
I think it's there's a difference between being informed about something and consumed, and we talked about the media, and they'll try to put ideas on us, and I think that's an influence. And I think that friends, people around us, and the people we disagree with, I think you can see other people's perspectives, and I think that I think empathy is a hard, I'm still really trying to tackle empathy. I think it's kind of a difficult task, and then you have to figure out, okay, I believe in myself, but I also, have to have a perspective of others. And I think that balancing both is something that I've been working to, improve in myself.
Absolutely. Another key point that it would go in with number 3 that I gave, I think, which was I forgot what it was, but like self-motivation, like I like how, do something. Your third one was do something to prove others wrong?
Yeah, prove others wrong.
Okay. I guess it'd be synonymous with that prove others wrong, but also do it to either prove yourself wrong or to just motivate yourself for the future. It's like you said, we got trainers, we got, YouTube people. They can motivate you, or they can, get you going on what you think you should do. But ultimately, you got to be the one to pick up the barbell and push that. And you got to be the one to set the extra rep, to set the 5 pounds on the bar, no matter how you feel. Sometimes you're going to go in feeling like crap. You're in the game long enough to know. I'm sure you've had a couple days where you're like, man, I feel like crap today.
Definitely.
Maybe it's, you just feel heavy. It's like, maybe it's just a heaviness to the day. Maybe it's the heaviness on your emotions. But just because it feels heavy doesn't mean you can't lift it. All right. So you got to be self-motivated too.
I think that, I think when I'm not once I proved other people, once I proved others wrong, I think I was able to, really focus on, okay, I can do anything else I set my mind to, I can handle any obstacles. So I wasn't really looking out at other people anymore. I started focusing more on myself. It was kind of a driver in the beginning, but it wasn't that long. I don't think it really was the complete, the catalyst. Once I got up to year 3, year 4, okay, it got me in the door. It got me started. Like I said, with being cut from the basketball team. But I think that it was just fuel to the fire. I think it just, it was just something I was like, okay, I want to prove these people wrong, because I didn't want that, I didn't want them to be right. So I was like, okay, I have to work day and night. Like, if I'm going to do this, I have to be obsessed with it, and I have to, continue to just grow. And I think that over time, I stopped worrying about what people thought once I, accomplished that, because then I realized, well, they really don't have any say over me. Their opinions, they're outside of my purview. So I'm not going to try and change someone's opinion about me, because I just talk about also focusing on things that we can control rather than we can't control, and other people's opinions, falls in that purview. You can't really have someone have a favorable opinion of you. You can't force them. They can meet you and they have to form it themselves. And that's really what I learned from that situation.
Yep. And your to prove others wrong is also, like, before, earlier when you're talking to me, you asked me the question is, do you think competition is necessary? Basically.
Oh, yeah,
and it's like, and then that's basically, proving others wrong is a form of competition, whether it be for your own gain or because the people around you thought you couldn't do it and you're proving them wrong. You're bettering yourself, and that competition is a sharpening you. You're basically a weapon, and you're sharpening yourself against others and against yourself. It's like you're good enough. Your body is a weapon. And if you're lacking, if you're slacking on it, you're going to be dull. But if you stay sharp and keep testing yourself against others and yourself, you're going to be a sharp blade.
The difference is, though, I see. So if I'm comparing it to my business, and I understand what you're saying there, and I think that I get hate on some of my, like, I'll post on YouTube and I'll get some hater in the comments, and but I feel like with sports, people are on the same level. I feel like that the people on the internet that are like trolling and they just like come for straight hate, they're just so much below, because they're not really doing anything for themselves. But when it's a sporting event, you're going up someone that's pretty much like-minded. Honestly, the person on the other side of the football is not that much different than you. They're both playing the sport. They both love the sport. They both grind every day. They are absolutely pretty much the same person, same mindset, and they're probably best friends after the game. So I think that that's the only difference that I would see there.
Yep.
Because I think that, people on the internet that are hating, because I always try to listen to constructive feedback. Like, you've given me constructive feedback in the past, and, if it's legit and, if it makes sense, and, if you really want to make that change, you can do it. But if you're just listening to someone that says you suck, like, what does that accomplish? Like, that doesn't, like, if you're just going to comment you suck on someone's post, like, no one cares what you say. Like, I've heard that one before. And I've learned to just kind of really come at it with compassion, because I kind of feel bad for them, because, they're not in the best place. So I try to, come at them with compassion. It's kind of difficult sometimes. It is difficult. People say you suck, you're terrible, like, we don't care about you. But, like, I just try to look at it as, it's there.
It's funny to say you're trying to help people and people are crapping all over you. It's like, like, it make me think, like, an idea that forms in my mind for someone that's trying to do that. It's like, wow, like, is this even worth it? I'm trying to help people and people are just shitting on me. Like, am I doing something wrong? It's like, absolutely not. People just, people are envious, people are jealous, and they want to bring you down to their level, man. You're escaping out of the barrel, and those monkeys are just trying to hook around you to bring you back in. They're like, hey, take us out or you're coming back with us.
I love it. I love that analogy.
So, but also I can see, I'm just going to finish up real quick. I can see with you right now being at, like, you're kind of like, you've been doing it for a couple of years now, but, you're still kind of like, it's still fresh and it's still new, that I can see how comments would seem like a little more, what's the word, that you have more of a reaction to comments now, because, I mean, it's not like you're it's not like you're a representative for what are they called? First Form yet, or something like that, where they're getting millions of people saying, oh, this is stupid, this company's dumb, or millions of people saying, yeah, I love you guys. It's like, the haters get drowned out after a while when you have so much like positive feedback as well as negative feedback. But when it's fresh, I feel like those hits, those negative hits mean a little bit more, weigh a little bit heavier because you're just so new and there's so few, you know. Or that's how it seems like in my mind.
I try not to read into it too much. I always, try to engage with people, and if people are going to give me constructive feedback, I'm 100% open to it. But I just can't. I try to come out with compassion, and it can be difficult some days. Some days you don't want to respond to someone, and then if they're like, criticizing it, I'll ask a question like, if you really didn't like something, please tell me, and give me some. I mean, I want to help you out. You have to be so rooted in what you believe in, and I just know that my business is to help people. And if that's all I do, if I help one person, if one person sees one of my tweets and is that helps them, it was a good day. It was and I
definitely doing a good thing.
And I try to I want to motivate and empower more people. I want to help more people, and I think that's what I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to go across the country. I'm trying to help people in different cities. And I think that you can do that virtually. And I think that, like I said, like-minded people find each other. They find a way to be around those people, the people that want to get better. And I want to inspire more people to want to get better. Because I know there was a time when I was one of those people that was pretty, rooted in like who I was. There was different levels of it on different areas of my life. But I think that there's that time when you don't want to change. And most humans don't really ever want to change. They have to be kickstarted, I think. And I think that, you have to get inspired, and then you have to go out and do it. You actually have to go out and make a plan and go accomplish your goal.
Yes, sir. I don't think I have any more questions for you. Do you have any for me? None that have arisen yet.
Let's see. I think we got one more. So obviously, we're still pretty young. We're still young in our lives. And I think, when do you think we're going to reach our highest level of confidence? Or do you think it's kind of an exponential? Like, do you think we ever, we always are learning something? If we're learning something every day, are we ever going to be fully, are we ever going to be fully grown? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think I kind of understand what you're saying. Like, are we ever going to reach our potential, like our confidence potential, like our maximum level?
Because if we learn something every day, like I always, you can always learn something. If you go in a grocery store, you can learn from a situation in a grocery store. You can learn something from, running a business on your laptop every day. And if we, if we keep learning for the rest of our lives, our minds keep growing. Obviously, our physical, we're going to be in our peak probably in the next 10 to 15 years. I think, even you can even do that longer too. If you, if you keep with it, you can have your health throughout your, most of your life. You keep it up, but, our physical peak is probably going to be within the next 10 to 15 years. Do you think that, what do you think our minds, do you think our minds continue to develop, or what's your thought process on that?
Well, scientifically speaking, what our brains reach maturity around this age. I think you've
25.
mentioned it before too.
25. Yeah.
25. Okay. And I don't know if you've heard of Jordan Peterson, but I just heard something the other day that he was talking about, like between the ages of 16 to 25 are the peak for creativity, and also the peak for crime rate amongst men.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's that span of times. That's interesting, but it's not final for people. Like statistics are cool, and they're you can gauge information well off of them, but they're not always final, so it's kind of like, will we ever reach the potential for physicality, the potential for mentality? I don't want to put a limit on myself that way, so yeah. I in this life, I just hope I can learn all that there is to learn, or what I'm destined to learn, whatever that's where kind of like the spiritual and whatever your religious points of view come from. Whatever's meant to happen to me in this life is going to happen. And hopefully I just learn from all that there is. And in my confidence with that is, that kind of helps me with my confidence. It's like, there's not much I can control, but what I can control, I try my best at. And, the life is chaos, and no matter what happens, it's gonna happen. So just hold on for the ride,
I like it.
But,
I think that we talked about, well, last time we were talking, you were trying to figure out your purpose, and we were going to kind of workshop it as well. We were going to talk about, so what were you thinking about your purpose?
just to, man, like, my purpose is to find that element of positive tribalism. I'd say, like, to find a group of guys that are going to strengthen and empower and hold each other accountable, while individually, on the individual level, we're all trying to get better. We're all trying to reach our goals. We're all trying to do our thing that serves a bigger purpose than just ourselves, though. Keep yourself in line individually, but at the same time, be productive and care for the tribe. So I guess I'm just trying to find my family in that regard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm going to continue to be and try to be the best man, the strongest man that I can be.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think, yeah. And it goes back to that similar mindset sort of thing that I was touching on earlier. I think that, those are the people that you want to, spend your life around, the people that are going to, keep you on track to what you're trying to accomplish. If you set a goal for yourself and, you're having a down day, you want that person next to you to pick you up and be like, you're going to do this. You're going to go out there and do this, even though you don't feel like it, and that's the type of person you need on your side on those days. Cause everyone has those bad days. Some people don't feel like getting out of bed, no matter how strong you are, how many other days you've done it. Some days are just tougher than others, and you need those people that can push you and that will have your back too as well. That's a big one as well. Let's see what else. Yeah, so I think I would say on the confidence, I always try to learn something every day. So I hope my mind, as long as my mind is, functioning, with modern medicine, I think that, our minds can, continue to grow. I think that we're only going to live longer. So, I want my mind, if I really can do my business for the next 60 years, I want to continue to learn for my business every day. And I think that, we can always get smarter. We can always, learn, and we can improve if we choose to. A lot of people think that learning is a chore, so they don't do it. That's what they were taught in school. They were taught in school that, learning is not fun. They were taking a class on something they didn't give a shit about. And I think that, that's where they get that notion that learning is not fun. And I think that if you learn the stuff that you care about, and I think that's a big thing, laziness is a way to, tell you something you don't like. I think that's a very good, it can really help people narrow down what they want to do. If something's not inspiring you, it shouldn't be part of your life. Like I said, with the people that are around you, that, you want to be, if you want to be a cook, you're around people who cook, and that's what you do. And, you find ways to get better at cooking. Like you watch YouTube videos or something like that as well. You try to surround yourself with the right ingredients to, and I always try to put myself in a position to succeed. And that's why I like having motivated people around. And I think accomplishing my goal is going to be a way of, what I want to progress in my confidence. I want to keep smashing through goals. I want to keep challenging myself on the health and fitness level, on the business level, on the job level, and my just personal life as well. I just want to continue to up. And I know that different areas are at different levels. Your health and fitness could be up higher, and then, your business is lower in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, so just trying to get better in each aspect of my life every day. Like you said, I think I'm always going to try to learn something. So as long as my body is also functioning and no major injuries happen, knock on wood. But yeah, I think that our confidence in our bodies, that'll be an interesting topic in 30 years. We're going to stay in good shape. I'm confident that we're going to stay in good shape, how to build confidence. But I'm confident that we're going to, be in good shape in 30, 40 years. But, you know, we haven't really done the gauntlet yet. So family, kids, we'll see.
Right.
We can't speak on that yet.
All the other responsibilities of manhood.
Well, we're going to learn a lot of things. And like we said, you know, these are just our perspectives on how we build our confidence. Anyone can build confidence in a variety of different ways. You know, Nick has his unique experiences and I have my unique experiences, and the confidence is going to look different in everyone. You know, it's going to be a pretty big variable. One person's confidence is not going to be like another's. You know, it's going to be a different picture. But what do you think about all that?
That was good. I like, one thing I'll add that I was just thinking about too is, you know, when you asked me about purpose and, you know, you're saying, you know, about our goals through life is, or another, you know, Jordan Peterson, a lot of his teachings and a lot of his insight to things have influenced me in a tremendous amount of ways. And what I really like that he took from, or not he took from, but that he had a lecture on was that in life, it's not just a linear path. You know, it's you shoot for point A and you realize that point A isn't your destination after all. It's like, you know, point A led you over here. And then, you know, oh, all right, you know, you're going down your path in life. And then, oh, now you're at point B and you thought point B was where you wanted to be. No, you know, you got to point B. Now you're realizing that point C is where you're starting to go. It's like all these things that you think you want to do in life, you know, it's another way of, you know, like you said, with your circle, like cutting down the things outside to find what you think, or cutting out the influences to make your circle smaller, but more valuable. It's kind of like the same thing in life. You know, you're cutting away the things that you think are valuable and that you think are your pinnacles of life. And then you get there and that's not it. You know, you hit that goal, but you realize, oh, okay, you know, this isn't it. Over there is it. And then you start going over there and you realize, oh, this ain't it. It's over there. You know, it's like this never ending journey of, you know, getting to the center of what you like and who you are.
I think also a point on that though. So part of my purpose in life is, you know, to help people, and I want to help as many people as possible. So I kind of try to, you know, I'm already helping some people. So, you know, I already have that gratification, you know, I already have, okay, I'm starting to help some people. You know, I've trained about 50 clients through JP Fit4LIFE. So I've already helped a ton of people, you know, comparatively with my lifespan. I already feel great about that. You know, I'm just trying to increase that over time and help more and more people as, you know, JP Fit4LIFE grows and gets more exposure. I think that more people, you know, will be helped by it. And I think that if you can find ways to, you know, really be like, okay, I'm doing the right thing, you know, that purpose is going to give you that joy all the way, you know, as when you go through the process of it. And people have to love their process of day to day. I hate seeing all these people that just live for the weekend, and it drives me insane. And it's these people that, you know, go through their Monday through Friday like they're zombies. And obviously you have to have, you know, your main job, and you have to, you know, have your finances in order, but, you know, you have to have that other thing that you can grow and you really are passionate about. And, you know, people on the weekends, like we were talking about with drinking earlier, you know, they'll do that to forget about the rest of the week. Your week was that bad that you had to forget about it. Like something's wrong. Something's wrong. You're not doing something right. And I think that you can grow your business. And I think that's one way that you can, you know, find something that you're passionate about. You know, like you said, like going out in the wilderness, you know, that's something that you become, you know, passionate about. So finding your passion outside of, you know, your regular work, because you have time if you set your priorities straight. That's a big thing as well. You know, you can't hang out with those people that you drink with anymore. Like you said, with the circle. I think I don't have any other questions. Do you have any other questions for me?
How many people are going to be helping this week? You got like do you have like a list of people that you have like conference calls with, or that you have like training sessions with, or, I mean, so the season's season's dying down with wintertime, but.
So I'm doing, well, it's definitely been difficult because of COVID, no doubt about it, but everything has gone virtual. So I have a lot of my clients. I'm working with, I think like 3 or 4 clients right now. And I think they send me videos and I give them feedback and I critique it. And I posted that on a JP FIT4LIFE before. And it's kind of, they'll send me exercises of them working out at home, because some people are working out at home. Some people are working out at the gym. So I'll provide feedback in text form, and I've done a video form as well, so they can hear my voice as well. But I'm trying to get better at motivating people virtually, because it's a lot harder. And that's kind of the big challenge I've seen, is getting people to, check in frequently and, stay consistent on that as well. But when I was in the gym, I was right up in their face. I was motivating them to do more reps, and I was motivating them to do more weight as well. And I was, I could have that plan more accessible for them when I was in the gym. So it's been a difficult transition, but it's been a work in progress.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot different when you don't have someone in your face. You're like, let's get moving, buddy. It's like they're gonna have to hold the phone right up to their face while you're on a call with them and be like, all right, give me 10 reps, let's go. Like they'll just turn the camera away and be like, all right.
Yeah, because a lot of the back and forth would be like messaging or FaceTimes or Zoom calls like this, and we'd be checking in, and we'd be doing free consultations as well through Zoom. That's one way we do it. And then, yeah, I think the video way is the best way I've found. I've tried doing like live workouts with Zoom before. It was kind of an interesting experience, but it's kind of hard with like the laptop. You got to position it just right.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, that's probably the hardest part, because a lot of people, that's also what I worry about the most when people are in their house and, trying to do an exercise, because it can be, I would be there in person. I'll be able to, help them. So I try to make sure that, the other people are around for them if anything ever happens, and that's something I strive for as well. But yeah, I'd say, Thanksgiving's coming up, so it's going to be a little slower this week. Probably people are going to cancel or something. They're going to be like,
probably. You're like, hold on, coach. I gotta slowly burn off this 10 pounds I just gained.
I motivate as much as I can, but you gotta show up.
Absolutely. Let's see. But yeah, man, I don't have any more questions really.
All right.
That was a good.
Thanks for doing this. It was really good hearing all your stories. I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, hopefully we'll talk again like this.
We will. Let's do it.
All
right, guys, this is JP from JP FIT4LIFE. I'm with Nick Jones, a good friend of mine. We went to Spalding High School. We've had a lot of experiences, helped us grow as people. And, I hope you guys learned a little bit from this as well. Maybe take one thing out of it. Your day is going to get better. Maybe you might take more than one thing out of it, and that's even great. And we're just trying to help people with our journeys and see maybe someone else can relate to it, or probably has been through one of these situations, because we talked about a broad variety of different situations. We talked about dating, we talked about life, we talked about the gym, we talked about being in society as well. There's all these different things that help build our confidence. And thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a wonderful day.